I want to start. We got a lot to do. Okay. Page 918. Eila Masei b'nei Yisrael asher yotzu me'eretz Mitzrayim tzivosam b'yad Moshe v'Aaron. So we're starting part of, we didn't do any of Masei. We're going to finish Masei today, and then tomorrow we start Sefer Dvarim. Eila Masei b'nei Yisrael, 918. These are the journeys of the b'nei Yisrael when they left Egypt, b'yad Moshe v'Aaron. So the Torah is going to enumerate the various places that they go. We'll see what's contained in the name. Some pretty enchanting stuff, but the don't try not to munch. Thanks. It's not for Torah. What do you call it? So the Torah is going to enumerate the various journeys. Now the commentaries, we're going to see that there are 42 journeys that are mentioned over here. And the commentaries say, try not to eat seeds, okay? Try not to munch in general when you're studying. No, that's got to be on. If that's the cost of munching seeds, that's it. No. In general, the Rambam says, you don't eat while you're learning Torah. Please don't munch while you're learning Torah. It's not a movie. A person should be focused with a sefer in front of you. You sit down with a sefer and you learn your focus, concentrate on the Torah.
Really?
Yeah.
How about for like Mishmar?
Mishmar is something else right now. The Mishmar is Mishmar. When you're learning Torah, you're trying to concentrate. It's not respectful to the Torah, especially if it's something that makes crackling sounds. I was once at a movie in Israel. If you go to a movie in Israel, years ago I went to a movie in Israel. In America, eat popcorn, doesn't make noise. In Israel, they eat sunflower seeds. So I hear the crackling sounds. Then some guy got up. It was like a theater. I was in Beersheba. There's a theater, and the movie. It was there was a stage in front of the screen. It was Israeli Beersheba, and I was in the movie. I remember I was 18 years old. Some things even make an impression. Some guy gets up in the middle of the movie, just rolled a bottle right across the stage. It wasn't very disciplined. In any event, the commentaries say we're going to see 42 various stations where they go to. And the commentaries say that in the course of a person's life, they go through 42 different journeys. There are 42 different journeys that a person goes through. That's what many commentaries point out here. We don't know which is the journey. We don't know which one. I just finished my journey because the bus finally came. In Israel, the bus finally came. It says he's going to be there in 3 minutes. 17 minutes later, the bus arrived. We don't know which is the journey. We don't know when the journey is. We only know that there are 42 journeys that a person goes through in their life. Which is the journey is not as important as what the journeys are, because we'll see over here that there are certain places that the Torah mentions which were very positive for the Jewish people, and certain places where the Jewish people, their behavior was less than positive. And what the Mefarshim say is that each person has to realize that the journeys in life involve various trials and tribulations. Certain things in life go well, they go smooth, you got the job you wanted, and you got a good salary, and you don't have to work too hard. And there are other times in life where a person wanted something, perhaps they were frustrated, or perhaps they're not feeling well, or perhaps the finances went down. Different things that happen to different people, and at the end of the day, there's one common thread that unites them all, which is that we're meant to grow from them. You have to grow. We could grow through the positive, and we grow through the negative. When things are going well, a person should appreciate the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given him blessing. And by the way, you should, even when you're being successful, even when a person is successful, continue davening for success. Sometimes what happens is a person starts investing and your investments are going well, and a person starts getting a little bit too confident in his own abilities. Daven that you should continue. And if things are not going well, then a person has to learn how not to be frustrated, how to keep it in a proper perspective, how to keep it and to grow with that. That's also a test. When they talk about tests in life, so there are different types of tests. Okay, one test is where you're hungry and you see a pepperoni pizza that's not kosher. Now that's clearly a test. Am I going to succumb or not? There's another type of test. You're on your way to go to an appointment, and you get stuck in traffic through no fault of your own. Now that's called it. What's the test? I mean, it's not like you have a choice. You can't helicopter car where they have these helicopter cars they're trying to develop. You can't helicopter car out of there. So what's the test? Where's the test? If you're stuck in traffic, and it's called a test. What's the test if you're stuck in traffic? I mean, I'm stuck in traffic. It's not a test. I'm just pure suffering. Where's it a test? The test is, how do you respond to the suffering? Does a person get upset with Hashem, and a person gets frustrated, a person loses his cookies, or a person says, well, this is also for the best. I don't know why, I don't know exactly how, I don't know exactly what the good is in it yet, and I may not see it, I may never see it, but that we realize that none of it is random and haphazard, provided we didn't do anything on our own. Provided we didn't do something. You know, the Gemara says, Hakol bidei shamayim, everything's in the hands of heaven, chutz mitzinin pachin, except for fevers and flus, roughly translated. Tzinin pachin means hot and cold. That means our life is basically, we make the effort, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu manipulates things. So we're not in charge of the results. HaKadosh Baruch Hu determines the results. Except if a person does something foolish. For example, a person takes a shower and with wet hair runs out in January in sub-zero weather in New York and takes off his shirt to count down the new year, and then a day later has pneumonia. It must be Basher. It's not. Don't blame Hashem. You know, you learn to Yiddish word. Don't go blaming Hashem for being foolish. Person's meant to live on Rosh Hashanah. Hashem decrees a person can live out the year, and then a person goes up to a roof and he jumps off the roof. Don't blame Hashem. Nobody said that you're going to live out the year, and therefore you could behave like you do your bird imitation, right? If I go right, even then. It's still not totally. There was a documented incident here in Israel of a girl who went to the Shalom Tower in Tel Aviv. She jumped off the 8th story floor out of 8th story window, and she landed on a mattress truck that was driving underneath way. She landed on a documented story. She landed on a mattress truck. Yeah, is that amazing? Yeah, so even then, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, sorry, you're staying alive right now. Now they probably use her for an advertisement for the mattresses. You know, Sealy Posturepedic, you know, the one that will help you prevent suicides. You know, something. You know, so it could be any. You know, the possibilities are limitless. But so obviously within realm. But if a person behaves foolishly. So if a person has a test, you did everything right, you followed your what's it called, the ways, and you ended up taking the right, and all of a sudden you ended up in traffic, all of a sudden they're digging there's what do you call it, something happened over there. The test at that point is that you breathe deeply, right, and okay, this is also for the best. And it's a difficult test, okay? So there are 42 journeys. Now, take a look at if you look very carefully at the Pasuk Aleph, very fascinating. Eila Masei B'nei Yisrael, the first 4 words in the Parsha. We have been in exile, right? We are in exile right now. Exile is to a certain extent a journey. Those 4 words, Eila Masei B'nei Yisrael, if you look at the first letter of each word, Aleph stands for Edom, the Galus Edom, which is the exile that we're in right now. Mem stands for Madai, Paras Madai, the Persian exile. Mem and Paras and Madai went together, Madai and Paras. Beis is what? Bavel, Galus Bavel, the Babylonian exile. And Yud is Yavan, the Greek exile. That means Eila Masei B'nei Yisrael. These are the journeys of the Jewish people that truly will be the journeys of the Jewish people. Those are the exiles going to be, those are the Rashi Tevos. So we are right now we're in Golos Edom, okay? So it's alluded to right there in the Torah. Even more than that, when we're journeying, so according to some of the commentaries, it refers to a person being born. Asher Yotzu Me'eretz Mitzrayim. The word Mitzrayim, we say in Hallel, Min HaMeitzar Korosi Ka. What does that mean? From the literally, Meitzar, from the narrowness of distress, we call out HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So according to some of the commentaries, Eila Masei B'nei Yisrael Asher Yosu Me'eretz Mitzrayim, we all come from a very narrow place, which is when a person's born. They're in a very, very enclosed area when they're born, we're in the mother's womb. Then a person emerges into this world, and for their journeys, Biad Moshe ve'Aaron. Moshe ve'Aaron represents the leaders. That means both in our life and in our various ordeals, the various challenges and the various journeys we go through in life, we consult with the various Moshe and Aarons of the generation. Biyad, they are in the hands of Moshe and Aaron. A person has to learn to consult. Consult with somebody wiser. Consult with somebody who's got a better view of life. The Mesilas Yesharim, the famous analogy the Mesilas Yesharim uses, if you've ever seen in the Mesilas Yesharim by Rav Lazato, he compares it to a garden. Life is a garden maze. You ever see a garden maze? Like The Shining. Ooh, Jack Nicholson. Ooh, the garden. Yeah, that was pretty creepy. Right? There's a garden maze. Now, when you're in one of these garden mazes, which he says, very fancy aristocrats have these garden mazes in front of their house, and you got to go with the garden. You can't see what's going on above the hedge. But let's say somebody has gotten through the maze, and he's standing on a platform looking down at you. And he says to you, no, don't go right, go left. No, don't go left, go right, go straight, no, right, yashar, yamina. Right? Go right. And he gives you directions. You'd be foolish, assuming he's a trustworthy person, you'd be foolish not to listen to him. The Torah scholars of the generation are the people who've gone through the maze of life already. And they're telling us what we should do. Go this, no, don't go this way, go that way, go right. They're telling us what's right and wrong. In Judaism, what feels good is not an indication that it's necessarily the right thing, and very often it's the wrong thing. Very often it's the wrong thing. There's the mitzvah I want to do. Imagine your wife wants you to stay home and help with the kids. And what I really want to do is go help the shul set up for the nighttime mishmar. And that's what I really want to do. Which one do you think you should do? Yeah. Generally, when there's one you want to do and one you don't want to do, the one you don't want to do is probably the one you should be doing. Because the Yetzer Hara very rarely gets you to want to do it. Do me a favor, put away all technology, okay, guys? Put away any technology should be put away. It's disrespectful to the Torah. So except the camera, in life, sometimes we hit a crossroads. We don't know what decision should I make. Should I stay in yeshiva a little bit longer? Should I take a job? Which job should I take? Is this job going to enhance my life? Is this job going to enhance my life? Which is better for me? And often in life, we don't know. And you hit a crossroads. So you have to go to the people with the various Moshe and Aarons. Okay? What do you call it? Eli, what were you going to ask very quickly? Go ahead. Good.
Oh, I was going to say.
Yeah.
The 4 exiles aren't in order. So.
Correct. Okay. Many times that things are alluded to in the Torah, it doesn't end up. It's not a Tosfos. It doesn't end up. It's just a remez. It's just what we call what's a remez in English? An idea, a concept, an illusion, right? But it's interesting that it's still pretty good when you roll the dice. If I tell you, okay, I'm going to roll a 2, 3, 4, 5. Even if I don't roll them in order, and I still end up with a 2, 3, 4, 5, even if they're out of order on 4 rolls, it's still pretty impressive, right? Yeah, especially when you make money at it. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to ask, I don't know if it's off topic, but I was going to ask if we were talking about before when things get tough, what do you do when you guys things do get a little bit tough? Like, what do you think about?
What do I personally think about? What I personally think about is immaterial. So what a person should think about is what matters, not what I think about, because I don't necessarily do the right thing either. What I try to think about is that I have 2 approaches. Approach number 1 is I have a responsibility to do whatever I can responsibly. And number 2, to daven. So for example, I'll give you, even right now, I'm going through something right now, because right now I'm getting some sort of allergic reaction to something. And I'm not, the doctor says it's not allergies, and the guy I went even to alternative medicine, and he says it's that, the other thing, and I'm still getting it, I take him, and I daven. I'm doing more than that I can't do, more than that I'm not expected to do, right? Am I frustrated? Yeah, I'm frustrated. I'm trying to work on not being frustrated. I'm trying to work on being pleasant, even though I'm frustrated. So I'm being pleasant. Am I successful 100% of the time? No, not even close. Not even close. If I'm 70%, which I would have been happy with in high school, if I'm 70%, so then I'm doing well. We're not perfect. We're not, but that's what we're supposed to do. What we're supposed to do is keep the proper perspective. Do what you can responsibly as a human being, not over, not more than you have to do, not more. Some people get desperate, you start running to every quack in the world, and that sort of thing. Or you daven, do what you have to do, and believe. As long as I haven't been irresponsible, if the doctor says yes, you're allergic to chocolate chips, and I go home and I eat chocolate chips, So then I don't blame God that you're going to apply for the allergies. Don't Hashem, please make me not allergic to chocolate chips. That's not the goal over here. Yeah, the goal over here is to do what you could do, what you could possibly do under the circumstances, and daven. And we daven for assistance. So we have to believe that davening works. And if HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't answer my davening today, so we say the pasuk says, Kaveh El Hashem, Chazak v'yabetz libecha v'kaveh El Hashem. We say that every morning in davening, right before the end of davening. Put your hope in Hashem, Kaveh El Hashem, strengthen your heart, and put your hope in Hashem. And the Gemara says, what that means is that if a person davens, Kaveh El Hashem, you put your hope in Hashem, you daven, and you were not answered, strengthen yourself and daven again. There's no contract with Hashem that says that He has to answer our davening now and within a certain amount of times. Maybe it takes a couple of years of davening for certain things. Sometimes I go to Baruch says, no, you're never going to. I'll tell you, did I ever tell you a story about the three brothers? Tell you a story about the three brothers? Okay, so this is the story. It's supposed to be a true story. It's true that somebody told it to me. And he told me that it's supposed to be true. It's true that all stories that I tell are either true it's true that I either heard them or read them. So there's a father who had three sons. Johnny, I told you the story, 'cause I remember you going, right? There was a father who had three sons. And on the day his first son turned 18, an anonymous letter arrived from a letter arrived from a lawyer. That an anonymous donor has sent $1 million to be your son's on his 18th birthday. $100 million on an 18th birthday. Oh, of course, the son takes the money, and he goes out and buys himself a car. No one has ever said, there are only two girsas. Ikadamri, a sports car, right? But it's either a car or a sports car. No one ever said, that new lawnmower I always wanted. No. It's always a car, right? So he goes out and buys himself a nice car, and he goes speeding around in his car. After 3 weeks, he hits a tree and he dies instantly. 2 years later, the second son turns 18. And the day he turns 18, a letter arrives from a lawyer, anonymous donor, $1 million. This time the family's a little more cautious. They put most of it away. They give the kid money. He's got more money than is good for an 18-year-old. Falls in with the wrong group of friends, gets involved in drugs. His life is ruined. He goes into rehab. Gentlemen, please put away the technology. He gets involved in rehab, and what he called, and he's got to go to rehab. His life is ruined. 2 years later, the third son turns 18. Check arrives from the lawyer, anonymous donor, $1 million. So this time, the father picks up the phone and says, we don't want the money. Guy says to him, I'm sorry. Lawyer says to him, I'm sorry, your son is already 18. He's an adult. He legally have to decline it himself. You can't decline it for him. Father goes ballistic. He says, who keeps sending this money? Who keeps sending this money? So he says, do you remember about 20 years ago you had a partner in business and the two of you had a very nasty split? And the guy vowed he'd get revenge. And eventually he made a lot of money and decided the best way to get revenge is to send $1 million to each one of your sons on their 18th birthday. Wow. Looks like he was right. So sometimes, a person davens, and I know exactly what I need. It's called a Mercedes, by the way. I'm not too picky about the color. Green is my preference, but black is also good. And I know exactly what I need. A chauffeur wouldn't be bad either, right? And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, no, this is not good for you. If I give you this you'll either crash it physically or spiritually. This might not be good for you. In 3 years, it might be good for you because you're a different person, especially after 3 years of davening, you've changed as a person. So in 3 years, it might be good for you. And that's why sometimes a person davens and does get it. But sometimes a person says, no, you're not getting a yacht, Kaplan. I'm not giving you a yacht, right? And now forget it. You're not going to have, not in this Gilgul. Maybe next time, right? But not in this Gilgul. You are not getting a yacht. You're not a Russian oligarch. You do not get a yacht, right? That goes with the turf, right? So what a person wants, we know what we want, because Rosa says that's not necessarily the best thing. Now, one more point here, very, very important. When it says Eila Masei B'nai Yisrael, I pointed this out to you once before. If you turn back all the way to the third Parsha in the Torah, Parshas Lech Lecha. Look at Parshas Lech Lecha. At the end of Parshas Noach, we're introduced to a man named Avram Avinu. On page 54, we're introduced to a man named Avram Avinu. That's at the end of Parshas Noach. It tells us Avram Avinu, where he came from, and so on. At page 54, right at the top, it says, Vayomer Hashem el Avram Lech lecha me'artzecha u'mimoladetecha u'mibeis avicha. Go from your land, your birthplace, and your father's house. Top of page 54. Now you notice the word lech lecha is 2 words, it's 4 letters. It's the first communication that we find between God and Avram Avinu, who's the first Jew. The first communication is lech lecha, go. And the commentaries point out, Rabbeinu Bechaye points out, lech lecha, in these 4 letters is encapsulated the entire destiny of the Jewish people. How do you like that? What does that mean? Number 1, lech lecha means, well, what did the nations call us? What kind of Jews are we? The wandering Jews, right? Why are we the wandering Jews? We're the wandering Jews because we've been wandering. That's why we're the wandering Jews. Lech lecha, get up and start going. The first communication to Avraham Avinu is what the history of the Jewish people is going to be. You're going to be on the go. The Jewish people are going to be on the go. Do you know that Rabbi Gifter said, why is it that in every Jewish community that you go to, every Jewish city that you go to Chicago, Cleveland, Los Angeles, London, everywhere you go, there's the old Jewish neighborhood and there's the new Jewish neighborhood. Is that true? Right? That's where the Jews used to live, and now the Jews live over here. They used to be on that side, on the west side of town, now they're on the east side of town, right? Is it true or not true? They used to be in that neighborhood, now they moved up north. True or not true? Says Rav Gifter, because it's a reminder to us that even when we are in exile, and we get a little bit settled, and we start building nice up, then all of a sudden, there's a reminder. Yeah, we think it's because various undesirables have moved into the neighborhood. We think that that's the reason. That's only part. Hashem's only using that. That's only a piece of equipment. It's to get us to move, to remind us, by the way, you're still in exile. You're still not home yet. You're still in exile. You were on the west side of town and it was comfortable? Good, now move to the east side of town. There's always the old shuls, and people go to get the mezuzahs from the old shuls, from everything on the other side of town. And it's happened in every Jewish community. Says Rav Gifted, that's HaKadosh Baruch Hu's way of moving us around a little bit. And by the way, you want to hear a real shocker? Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky Zatzal, he said, you see the dome, the golden dome over there? About 20 minutes away, there's a golden dome on the Temple Mount, right? And it appears on every picture postcard at Jerusalem. And they even make songs about the gold Jew, Yerushalayim Shel Zahav. The golden dome. Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, what's your feeling about that dome? Ooh, right? Ooh, the Muslims got it. Ooh, right? Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky says it's not such a bad thing. Because it's a reminder to us we're in exile. We're in Israel, but we're in exile. And it's a reminder. A little bit of, we're not home yet, boys. Yeah, as good as things are, we even have a light rail in Yerushalayim, which was supposed to take 3 years to build. It only took 12. And so we're and even though we have a falafel shop on every block, and you can even get sushi in Israel now. Oh, Baruch Hashem, we got sushi. We're still in Israel. We're still in exile. We are very much in exile because we are being dictated to. We are not alone. Chas v'shalom, there are terrorists and there are all sorts of security problems. And the United States tells us exactly what to do. And if you read the newspapers and think with the government why they didn't do this, why they didn't do that, there's only one answer, and the answer is because America doesn't let or does let. Everything Israel does is being dictated. And therefore we're still. Number one incorporates the idea that we will be in exile. Number 2, lech lecha is from the root of the Hebrew word lichluch. What does lichluch mean? Dirt, filth. Lichluch, lech lecha. A Jew has to spend his life getting away from the filth of the society around him. Lech lecha, get away from that, the valueless society that we're around. Lech lecha, move away from it as far as possible. Get away from the dirt, from the smut, from the junk in the society around you. And number 3, more possibly most important of all, is lech lecha, the destiny, the job of a Jew. Get up and go. Do something. Accomplish something with your life. Don't spend your life becoming a couch potato, and don't spend your life just chasing money, which is in any way could be taken away in 5 minutes. Accomplish something tangible and concrete with your life. Lech lecha. Get up and do something in 3 words. That's why it says over here, back to the ranch, 9:18. Eile Masei b'nei Yisrael. These are the journeys of the Jewish people. The journeys means that we were put in this world to achieve, we were put in this world to journey, we were put in this world to move. And our job in life is to grow as a Jew. And I recommend, by the way, when you are looking to get married, it doesn't matter that much how much knowledge, Jewish knowledge, a young lady has. Her Jewish knowledge is nowhere near as important as her attitude. And her attitude should be that she wants to grow as a Jew. Not that she could be from the most frummest family in the world, and she herself wears a shtreimel. It could be, it doesn't matter. The question is she looking to grow as a Jew, or is she stagnating? If she's stagnating, I don't care how much knowledge she has. And if she's looking to grow, as long as she has a basic knowledge of how to run a Jewish home, she'll grow. So the knowledge will accumulate. So now there'll be more knowledge. But that she has to have, the focus has to be on growth, because that's what our focus is. Our focus has to be on growth. And a person who is not looking to grow, a person says, this is my level and I'm satisfied with my level, that by definition is a backslide. Okay, now I want to go on, because we don't have time, skip all the way towards the end of the Parsha. And this is one of the more intriguing ideas that we're going to find in Torah. On page 930. And this is the idea of an unintentional murderer. That means that somebody killed somebody unintentionally. So if you take a look in Perek Lamed Hey, right at the beginning on page 926. Okay. So, Vaydaber Hashem al Moshe b'arvos moav al Yarden Yerecho, right down about 9 lines to the bottom. Tzavis b'nei Yisrael v'nosu l'Levi minachas achuzosam orim l'shaves umigrash le'orim siyosem titnu lem. You're going to give portions of land to the Levim. Remember, the Levim did not get official portions like everybody else. They were not included in the lottery that divided up the land. Every tribe had to designate certain cities for the Levim. The Levim were given portions by everybody else. That's why we learned yesterday in Shir that the Levim get Meiser, right? That's what the Levim live on. That every farmer in Israel has to give 10% of his produce to a Levi, and then the Levi kicks up 10% to the Kohen. Right, so don't get too... Any of you Levim here? Anybody Levi? Oh, you're Levim. Okay, good. All three of you can wash my hands. The, what do you call it? Just don't push each other. Right? Don't push each other getting to the cup. Listen, Dave, you got to take what you can get. So the Levim have these cities. Any Kohanim here? Anybody? No other Kohanim. Yeah. What? No. That's just a rumor. That's just a rumor. No. The Bechorim, the firstborns, will get involved a little bit, but no. For the most part, it's about us. No other Kohanim? Lonely at the top, All right. All right. No, not 1%. What kind of 1%? What am I going to do with 1%? It's 2%, first of all. Second of all, just we pointed out yesterday, anytime you eat beef, anybody here like tongue? You like tongue? Good. I'm glad. Oh, the more the better. Because at the time of the base of Mikvah, anytime you slaughter an animal, you're going to have to give 3 parts of the. And we're not talking about sacrifices now. Regular, ordinary animals, when they're slaughtered, 3 parts of the animal have to be given to a Kohen. You get to choose the Kohen, and I'm sure you will choose wisely. And the Kohen, you have to give him the forearm, and you have to give a certain cut of meat in the stomach. I'm not sure what it is. And there's a certain part of the animal that you give, and the jawbone, which includes the tongue. And they're given to the Kohanim. You can't eat it unless you get it from a Kohen. You have to give it to a Kohen. The Kohen probably had big freezers. I certainly will. And anybody who wants it, the Kohen can then sell it and make their parnasa. And I got news for you guys. If you think kosher prices today are expensive, you just wait till you get to my place and you want to buy tongue. I mean, listen, we're planning for the future. So the what do you call it? So those are part of the gifts of the Kohanim. Okay. Now the Levium get these cities. Now here comes the Torah says like this. If you look on the next page, there are 42 cities in addition to the 6 cities. And the Torah on the top of pasuk, on the top of first pasuk at 928, ve'ese'orem asher titnu la'leviim, the cities you give to the Levites, es sheish orei hamiklat asher titnu lanus shama harotzeach. 6 of these cities are going to be what's called cities of refuge, where an unintentional murderer goes to. Va'aleim titnu arba'im u'shtayim ir, and then there are going to be another 42 cities. So there are going to be 48 cities of refuge of the Levium, 6 of them, according to the halacha, 6 of them that are the main ones where you don't have to pay for lodging, and on the other 42 you do have to pay for lodging. But the rule is like this. Now listen carefully before you ask questions. Reuven kills Shimon unintentionally. The classic example is a guy's chopping with a hatchet out in the forest. He had no idea. He chops with his hatchet. The head of the hatchet flies off and it kills Shimon. Then, chas v'sholom. And then Reuven has to go. The first thing he has to do is he has to go to the cities of refuge. And until he goes to the city of refuge, the next of kin has a right to kill him. The next of kin is allowed to kill Reuven. Reuven goes to the city of refuge, and then the Beis Din sends for him and brings him, and they have a trial. And in the trial, what they do is they determine whether or not it was unintentional, whether or not it was a shogeg, an ones, or a mazid. Was it circumstances beyond his control? Or was it something that a little more caution, it wouldn't have happened? Or was it something fully intentional? And based on that, they determine if it was circumstances beyond his control. For example, he's holding the hatchet, and all of a sudden the wind blew him, a tornado blew him, and the hatchet, as the tornado blew him, the hatchet went through somebody else's skull. Couldn't have helped it. So then he's absolved. It's not his fault. What do you want from the guy? If it was intentional, so then if there are witnesses, then he's executed. If there are no witnesses, they lock him up. If it was that middle level, which is a shogeg, that means the guy took the hatchet and he swung the hatchet and it wasn't on the top of the hatchet, it wasn't on tight enough. So on the one hand, he didn't do it intentionally. On the other hand, before you swing a hatchet, what should you do? Check it and check it again and check it a third time to make sure that you're playing with dangerous equipment over here. And therefore, you are not fully innocent over here. To the contrary, there was a certain amount of negligence. Even that, according to halacha, depends how much negligence there was. For example, there's a difference between a guy who's driving 10 miles over the speed limit and accidentally kills somebody. Gets into the accident, kills somebody. There's another guy who's drunk and he's driving 90 miles over the speed limit and he kills somebody. Now, he didn't do it intentionally either. But one is what we call negligence or an accident, one we call gross negligence. So halacha recognizes the varying degrees. The guy who killed unintentionally, he has to run to a city of refuge, one of these cities of the Levium. Now, until he gets there, or after he's gotten there, after the Beis Din rules that he has to go back there, after they bring him back, they rule, yes, you are an unintentional, you have to go there. The next of kin, this is the only time we find in the Torah, vigilanteism is permissible. And there's one opinion in the Gemara that not only is permissible, vigilanteism is even a mitzvah. There's one opinion that it's a mitzvah for the next of kin to try to chase him. Why is that? Hold on the question. Why is that? The idea here is, first of all, is like this. If Reuven kills Shimon, so then what he has done is he has released Shimon's neshama prematurely. Shimon's neshama has been sent away. So the way Hashem pays back, the punishment for Reuven is you have to be sent away. So he has to go to the cities of refuge. Now, the problem is that, this is a guy who's working a job. He's got a wife and kids. He's got a family. Now he's got to uproot everybody and go off to some city of refuge. And how long does he stay there? It's not like a two-weekend. He's got to stay there till the death of the Kohen Gadol. Now, if the Kohen Gadol is 94 years old and he's on a respirator, so okay, nish geferlach, it should be ending soon. But if the Kohen Gadol is 23 and he just passed the president's physical fitness program, and then he does the Ironman competition, this could take a while. And this guy's got to go off to the city of refuge. That could be a hassle. So he's got to go off to the city of refuge. Now, what if a guy says, listen, I'm just not that frum. I don't do city of refuge, right? It's like, by the way, you have an obligation to go to city of refuge. He says, I don't go to city of refuge, right? I don't do city of refuge. Like I said, I don't do tefillin, right? I don't do city of refuge yet. Really, that's really interesting because the guy who you killed actually has a brother. And his brother is by the way, is a third Dan black belt in Taekwondo. And he's looking for practice, right? And he's coming after you. And he's got a second brother who's actually a college linebacker, right? And he's also looking for practice. So the guy says, wow, City of Refuge, here I come. Best idea I've heard in a long time. And he runs like blazes to the City of Refuge. Why? Because otherwise the person may decide, I'm not going. He says, you're going. You're going. Oh, you're going. Oh, you don't want to go? Okay. Excuse me, Mr. Kwando. We got somebody. Oh, here I go. And off he runs. Why? Because he needs to go to exile. You exiled his soul. You have to go to exile too. How long? Until the death of the Kohen Gadol. What's the Kohen Gadol? I mean, can you imagine the Kohen Gadol? What's the Kohen Gadol's reaction? Like, oh, by the way, there's a guy in the City of Refuge. He's going to be there till you. What have I got to do with this? I was at the base of Mikdash, minding my own business. Yeah, but you should have been davening for the Jewish people. You should have been davening for the Jewish people that things like this don't happen. Number one. Number two, it's deeper than that. If a guy can swing a hatchet without thinking about checking, that means he's lost a certain sensitivity to the importance of life. Every once in a while you hear about people, oh, the rifle went off and killed somebody. Somebody had a gun in their house and it killed somebody in the house, got killed by the gun went off. You know, the kid was playing with the gun and they're, what do you do? You got a gun? What do you do with your gun? Leaving it? You don't understand what could happen with a gun? That means you've lost your sensitivity to human life. If you've lost your sensitivity, that's an indication that the spiritual level of the people have dropped. Because people on a high level are very sensitive to human life. They don't speed in cars, and they don't bungee jump, and they don't do things that can endanger themselves or other people. And if the spiritual level has dropped, that means the fault lies with the spiritual leader, which is whom? The Kohen Gadol. The Kohen Gadol. And therefore his release is linked to the death of the Kohen Gadol. Now, the Gemara says that the mothers of the Kohen Gadols would actually, it was more than, your cookies, They would provide food and all sorts of all sorts of material goods for these accidental murderers, so that they shouldn't daven that their son, the Kohen Gadol, should die. How's that for Kavanah in Shemona Esrei? Please, Hashem, I need some wisdom. And then you can make your personal petitions at the end of Shemona Esrei. Hashem, I need some more parnasa and some health. You have a little issue over here. And by the way, if you could take out the Kohen Gadol, that would be good too. With intense kavanah. And the mother and David, prayer is so potent that the mothers of the Kohanim would pay the guy, don't daven that their son should die. Okay, now even deeper, even more. At every crossroads, there was a sign that said Miklat, Miklat. There was a sign, a crossroads, a sign with an arrow pointing to the cities of refuge. So that a guy who's on the run doesn't have to stop and start asking and watch three Israelis get into an argument about how to get there. Lo nachon, telech shama, lo nachon, ze lo akav, ze lo autobus, ze lo yashar, ze lo yashar, shama bonim. You got to be able to get to the city of refuge. And if you didn't understand what I just said, then you haven't been living in Israel very long. And if you've been in Israel for 10 minutes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There are situations where sometimes you'll ask somebody for directions, people will get involved. That's how gracious Jews are. Everybody wants to help. So I ask the guy for directions. He starts giving me directions. Somebody else on the bus says, no, that's not true. They get into an argument. I get off the bus, they're still arguing. I'm there already, guys. You don't have to argue anymore. I'm there. Right? So that's all very nice, but not when you're running for your life from a football player. And when you're running for your life from a football player, I need to get out. So there at the crossroads, it said Miklat, Miklat. There are directions on the crossroads. So one of the commentaries asked a very, very interesting question. Very interesting question, very interesting insight in the Torah's attitude. Why is it, 3 times a year, the Jews had to go up to Yerushalayim? Right? 3 times a year have to go, what's called Aliyah L'Regel on the holidays, they had to go up to Yerushalayim and bring sacrifices. How come there were no signs on the crossroads that said Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim? What, everybody knows how to get to Yerushalayim? You're coming from Tveria, you're coming from the north, why aren't there signs on the crossroads how to get to Yerushalayim? We're such pessimists? What, a bunch of unintentional murderers running around, so we need signs for them? And what about all the people going to Yerushalayim? How come we don't think about that? There are a lot more people going to Yerushalayim than unintentional murderers. So how come there aren't signs at the crossroads? So the Torah says, one of the commentators points out, let's say a guy would be going to Yerushalayim. I'm on my way up to Yerushalayim. And then I'm on my way, I say, hey, Jonathan, can you help me? Which way how do I get to Yerushalayim? Jonathan says, well, you got to go over there and make it right. Well, why are you going? I said, we're going up there for, Aliyah L'Regel. I said, hey, great idea. Hey, I haven't been up for a while. Let's go. So he gets the stuff. We start walking. Then Eli sees us. He says, what's going on, boys? Where are you going? We're on our way to Yerushalayim. Right? And what happens is we don't want crossroads. Not when you're going to Yerushalayim, not when you're going to do a mitzvah. We don't want signs. We want people talking to each other and spreading a positive influence. If I'm doing something positive by talking to other people, then there may be an influence over here. A guy who kills unintentionally is obviously, what do they call it nowadays? He's a toxic personality. He's toxic, right? This is a guy who's trouble. This is a guy who's not a very, he's obviously a troublesome individual, troubled individual. We don't want him talking to other people. We don't want him communicating and spreading whatever negative he has in him in other people. And therefore, you know what? Put up signs for this guy. Don't ask direction. Just go. Just go. Just go. Just go. Don't ask anything. Don't ask anything. We don't want that communication. We don't want that connection with other people. That's the lesson over here. At the end of the day, by the way, if somebody kills the Kohen Gadol, he can never get out of the cities of refuge. How do you like that? A guy's out in that forest, and a guy accidentally kills the Kohen Gadol. So he goes to the city of refuge. He can never get out. Why? So you killed the Kohen Gadol? There are certain things you just don't do. It's like a guy goes. You go out to the forest. It's roughly the equivalent of a guy. Sometimes I see guys go shopping on rollerblades, or whatever it's called. What are the things that the other things? What are it's called? Those things that roll with motors, that sort of thing. You go shopping. Okay, what's the worst thing that'll happen? You knock over a few jars of peanut butter if you lose your balance. You don't go into an antique shop on rollerblades, right? But it was an accident. I didn't do it on purpose. Yeah, I didn't say you did it on purpose. But you shouldn't be anywhere near an antique shop with rollerblades, right? Can you imagine a guy, guy's out hunting. There are hunting accidents. Once in a while, a guy's hunting and the gun went off. He shot another guy. He thought he was a deer or whatever it is that happened. He shot another guy. Can you imagine a guy whose gun accidentally goes off near the president? When you're going out, when you're part of the crowd to go see the president of the United States, you don't go anywhere. You don't have a gun with you. About the only weapon you have, the only thing you can even have is a piece of bubble gum. That's it. You don't carry anything that could, they get on the plane, they say, sir, do you have anything in your bag that would look like a weapon? So I'd say, well, I got a back scratcher in there. That's about the only thing I got that looks like a weapon. Don't carry anything that resembles a weapon. That's not what you do near the president. What are you doing near the Kohen Gadol with a hatchet? You kill the Kohen Gadol? You're by the Kohen Gadol, you're in a completely different mode of behavior. There's certain times in life you don't go to, when you go to meet your future in-laws for the first time, right? When you go there the first time, you don't walk in there wearing jeans and torn jeans and a t-shirt, right? Depending on who they are, right? And depending on how much you want things to work out. But generally you wear a nice suit when you're going in there. It's one thing if you're going to meet some college buddies again. There's certain times in life, certain behavior is called for. And when you're there the first time with your in-laws, you sit there like a doobie with your hand and just smile a lot. You don't say a whole lot. That's what you do the first time, right? And then when they get on your nerves, then you accidentally spill your soup on one of them, right? Okay, but that's something. But there's a certain behavior that's required. When you're around the Kohen Gadol, you don't walk around with a hatchet. What do you do with a hatchet? For you, there's no hope. Go to the cities of refuge. And where are the cities of refuge? The city of the Levium. What's the connection? Why is it the cities of the Levium? Why are the cities of refuge where the Levites were? Why isn't the cities of refuge where they do some coal mining, right? Why is it specifically the cities of the Levium? Because the Levium were the teachers of the Jewish people. They were the spiritual leaders. Maybe if this guy goes off to the Levium, he'll catch a little bit of what they got. And they'll train him that, remember, killing somebody unintentionally it's a symptom. It's an indication of something bigger. again, have you ever met, I got to, have you ever met, there's always a kid on the block. When you grew up, there's one kid on the block who was accident prone. Right? There's always one kid on the block he's that kid who's accident prone. He's always got either a splint or a cast or stitches or something, right? There's that one kid who's accident prone. So what they call accident prone, we call a wilde chaya, right? He's a wild person. He's always the kid who tries the rope first, right? He's always jumping from one thing to another. He's like, I told you, he said, you're a redneck. You're a redneck if you got a relative who died and the last thing he said was, "Hey y'all, watch this." Right? So, there's always a kid on the block. There's always a kid on the block he's accident prone. There's a kid, he's always what he called. He's like, why? Because he's always doing risky things. The kid who's in the base medrash with a Baba Basra is never got a cast on, right? He's never got a splint. And there's always that same kid. I have found in life that there are people who are not only physically, there are people who are halachically accident prone. It's always the same guys that, oh, by the way, I ate something yesterday. I thought it was kosher. The bag said OR on it. I thought that stood for Orthodox, or I was davening Shemon Esrei and I forgot Yalav Yovo, which happens. Yeah, but it was my fourth time through that I forgot. There's always, there's always that sort of thing. It was Shabbos and I lit a bonfire. But I forgot it was. There's always the same guy, the same people over and over. You know where that comes from? If you're halachically accident, on Shabbos you walk in through, oops. Ever happen to you? It happens to everybody. Walk in the room, oops, hit the light switch. Oops. Sometimes people get the double oops. Yeah. Oops. You turn on it, turn it off. Then, you're a guest, and then you're a guest at somebody's house. You have to use the bathroom, and it's dark. Then you're really not right. Yeah. Oops. And then you flick it on. One of those. So, it happens. It's an accident. Yeah, but if you really cared about Shabbos. So what you would do is you would tape down all the light switches before Shabbos in your house so that when you hit it, the light won't go on. If it's an accident, it wasn't your fault. But generally, when something is an accident, it means you just didn't care that much. I told you when I was in high school, my father always showed me, bought me a calculator. Back in the day, that was the big thing, a calculator, an SR50. That was the latest calculator. It cost about $50. I was a sophomore in high school. I thought, $50 is a lot of money. I lost it the next day. I had it for one day. I lost it the next day. So my father was not pleased, to say the least. So at a certain point, I said, Dad, I didn't do it on purpose. He said, I know you didn't do it on purpose. I said, but you didn't lose your baseball glove, which was true. It's hard to pick up a ground ball with a calculator. And frankly, between me and you, my glove got a lot more use than a calculator ever would have, right? But the bottom line is the calculator was sitting in my bag, okay. The glove I had, near and dear to my heart. If a person cares about Shabbos, they're not going to hit a light switch on Shabbos. You'll tape them down. If a person cares about kashrus, you're not going to put something in your mouth until you know that it's kosher, not assume that it is. I'm not going to put it in my mouth until I know that it's kosher. All right, see you tomorrow.